The other day I was walking around downtown Alhambra and I saw this incredible poster that I just had to look at and admire. Like, wow, incredible. If I wasn't poor, I'd go straight in with my imaginary girlfriend simply because of the advertising. But unfortunately, the best I could do was dream. And then I did what a normal person would do and imagined an anime girl as Santa and said, I should make myself feel better by drawing the two things I was missing. Korean BBQ and a girlfriend. And isn't that the beauty of art? The ability to share your dreams with the world. Anyways, now that I'm back home and I decided to do this artwork, I have to finish this before Christmas, but I kind of started on the 22nd, as you can see right here. So let's go. If you haven't noticed, this is another speed painting video, so welcome back. The last time I made one of these was for Squidward and SpongeBob. We have quite a lot of diversity on this channel. I plan to speed through this artwork because my birthday is actually on Christmas and I don't want to be working on this art piece all the way up to Christmas. So I'm going to finish this artwork pretty quickly and then upload it in a single day. A cheap video. And hopefully, if you're watching this, you're simply interested in the artwork being created, or you want to learn a couple things from the process. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. So I get started on the artwork by simply pasting this picture I took of the poster that is perfectly cropped and everything, and well, sketching over it to try and find a good pose that would fit the scene. And while this might look like a brand deal because I kept the logo on the artwork, this is honestly just for shits and giggles. Like, I've never eaten at this place in my life. I truly just fell in love with that poster. I mean, look at it. Who photoshopped this for this company? Like, someone was hired to either put stock photos together or pose in front of Korean BBQ with a Santa costume on and glasses for a company. And they got paid. I want to be paid. So yeah, I'm basically stealing the idea, but I don't get paid. And right here, I'm just sketching out an anime girl because you can always put an anime girl on anything and it makes it better. I decided to draw a more hot and charismatic character with the same pose as the Santa character in the original poster. And yes, I did call her hot because honestly, I usually don't draw characters that I would describe as hot or charismatic or seductive. Wait, why don't I do that? Here I started blocking in colors to create a draft of the final art piece, and I grabbed this little reference of a blue, purple, and red color scheme off the internet in order to get some more colors, I guess. I didn't want to color pick exactly from the poster, especially because it's an iPhone photo, if you haven't noticed. When I tried to reverse image search the poster, I literally found nothing. I don't even understand where this poster came from. It's just on a random building. Like, I don't get how this poster was made. Where is this from? You can see my initial rough draft is very simplistic and low effort. I even steal the whole table and just add a filter over it because I don't want to draw all of that. Basically, I'm trying to cheat, but I kind of have an excuse because I am just replicating the poster for fun, so I don't really care. I did want to change a couple things though. For one, I wanted to change the color scheme to have a little more pink because the photo was tinted a little yellow because of the sun, so I wanted to make my own lighting. And I wanted to change the background as well because in the original poster, the background is just photoshopped to be, I guess, the original location this barbecue was at, and it's just overlaid with something. I don't know. So I decided to make a new background inspired by the reference images on the left, which was a hot pot place that was overlooking a city. And at first I did try to draw it myself, and I painted a rough of it, but it just didn't feel right, and I even referenced Spider-Verse. But unfortunately, painting cities is pretty hard because of how dense everything is. So eventually, I just did what I always do, and I just stole an image and just pasted it there. Hey, I don't have time to draw a city. I need to finish this in 4 hours, so I just added some overlay effects and painted on top of it. I wanted to have the city be a more bluish, pink, yellow, and dark purple color to match a color scheme. So it was altered enough that the original image doesn't really show. And that's the finished ruff right there. Isn't that great? Looks pretty good. For the background, I did try to match the vibe of the original and made it seem like she's sitting on a booth overlooking a city. And the booth even has that neon light thingy in the original, which provides some cool backlighting for the character, but also leads your eyes to her face. Now that the ruff is done, I tidy up the sketch so that it makes more anatomical sense and looks a lot better. There's something weird with my pen that sometimes when I draw, the pen starts pixelating, which I should have turned on a smoother, but now you have a weird staircase sketch of an anime girl. I highly suggest making a ruff of any artwork you're working on before finishing it because it gives you a good plan of what you're making. It definitely helps with color and composition, which is extremely important for a piece and is really hard to alter when you're close to being finished. I'm so glad that I only have to sketch the character, because if I had to draw all that food from scratch, I'd actually die. It was pretty fun to draw an expressive character for once that, well, Then after the sketch is done, I go back and fix the ruff to match the finalized sketch. At this point, I'm slowly rendering the piece to finalize it, and I even render a bit of the food because I wanted to make it look better than an image, of course. I kind of wanted to capture the feel of Ghibli and Makoto Shinkai films because people really love the food in those films. The food just looks so much better. Plus, the lighting on the food kind of didn't match the drawing because obviously I drew the drawing. For the food process, I basically just add a little more highlights, maybe some more texture, and even simplified some of the foods to make it look like I painted it. A very subtle addition was adding in some blue light that would have hit the table that wasn't in the original. Rendering the character was next and probably took the most amount of time because the background and the food already have tons of detail and the character simply has to match it. You can see that I put my sketch at a lower opacity so I could paint better, but still understand what I was doing. But I did copy the line art for the face because it's kind of hard to paint the face, and I just used the lines for the eyes and eyebrows, for example. The curly hair was quite a challenge, but it wasn't that bad. I used the same strategy as that famous MS Paint Santa video, where they just draw a bunch of shaded blobs, I guess, for the beard, and then they use a thin brush and just draw individual hair strands for highlights to capture that curly, messy hair. The hair is definitely a more unique aspect of this art piece because anime girls usually don't have curly hair, and even when they do, it's usually not as rendered and realistic as this. This is honestly the first time I've ever painted where I made the canvas double-sized so I could just stick reference images on the left. And it's actually very beneficial. I could just paste whatever JPEG I want and draw easily. Okay, now let's diverge to the lighting a little bit because that's what rendering is all about, right? The lighting is really interesting in this piece because there's technically 3 different light sources that are various colors. There's a main overhead light coming from the Korean BBQ place that is a yellowish color, and then there's a backlight that is a bluish color coming from the neon strip and the cityscape. And then there's theoretically a reddish light that I wanted to add. At first I was gonna add like lanterns because it was Korean barbecue and Korean is Asian, but then I realized that that wasn't gonna fit anywhere. But I wanted to imply a red lighting to make the skin have a more pinkish hue. So you can see me shading with pink in the shadows, some blue in the shadow backlight, and then a more warm tone in all the front lighting. It's pretty insane and a little far from the original, but I think it makes this art piece pop a lot more. I think the hat looks especially good because it illustrates a tone change from yellow to red to purple and to blue. I personally love making art with tons of different colors, and if you go on my Instagram, which is linked in the description below, you'll rarely see me make art with only 2 colors or a single tone. I encourage you to use a lot of colors as well because it's fun. I mean, that's what kids do, but also because it trains you to work with more colors and make more extravagant color schemes. I mean, it's always better to have the skill of working with more colors because you can always dial it back instead of someone that always works with limited colors and never is able to expand. Going back to the artwork, I decided to make the character have white eyelashes and eyebrows, so she's like an albino character. But I did have a lot of trouble with her expression, maybe because I don't draw this type of stuff a lot. So it kind of looks weird for most of the speed paint, but I think I finally fixed it near the end. I had to move on to rendering this cup thingy that she's holding. I don't know what this is actually, because I don't eat at this Korean barbecue place, and there's soju in it. Yeah, I don't know what this is. I guess I'm trying to draw a scene that's too rich for me to understand. Because, think about it, I have never eaten atop a Korean barbecue place above a city looking at a pretty girl. And it probably will never happen to me. So this scene is only existing as a dream. But that's okay. Who wants to go to Korean barbecue anyway? You have to cook your own food? I don't pay that much money for me to cook my own food. At this point, I'm trying to rush and finalize the drawing. I render the meat on her other hand, and then I also render the background to make it more cohesive. This pillar was moved to the end to make it more balanced, because why would it be there? It was kind of ruining the contrast of the meat on the background as well. And then I also decided to redraw the hand because I thought it just felt too stiff for the type of expression I was going for. While this might be a man's grip, this is a woman's grip. At this point, I'm basically done. The background isn't rendered that well, and you could kind of tell it's a picture if you look at it too long. But the thing is, since there's words over the background, I couldn't really care less. It's amazing how fast the rendering goes by, especially when you have a reference. But we're not done yet. We haven't even hit 15 minutes yet. I need more ad revenue. Just kidding. This video will probably earn like 90 cents, and it will not even pay for like a fraction of eating at a Korean barbecue place, so in truth, I spent a lot of excess time near the end working on the eyes and expression because it just looked weird. For whatever reason, I couldn't get her eyes to look directly at the camera, so I spent like 30 minutes trying to alter the eyes. But the weird thing is that sometimes it did look like she was looking at the camera, and sometimes she didn't. If you zoomed in, she looked like she was looking at the camera, but if you zoomed out, it didn't. I don't know. I tried to improve the eyes by adding more texture to the eyelashes and eyelid, and even adding a lot of highlights inside the eye. But no matter what I did, she just looked weird. Her expression just looked weird. And then at some point, I gave up, and I decided to just finalize the piece. So I added a ton of more details like this, little highlights on the tongue and bottle, and even on her earring. I used some classic color dodge to make the highlights and the light sources glow, and I even added some steam for the Korean barbecue thingy. And with that, the piece is finished. Now, back to the eyes. I came to the conclusion that the expression looked weird to me, at least, because she was albino, and the thing about having white eyelashes and eyebrows is that it kind of just makes you look weird because there's not enough contrast on your face. Or maybe I'm just bad at drawing because characters like Ekidona and Gojo Satoru look perfectly fine with albino characteristics. Other than that nitpick, I'm pretty proud of the piece overall. For one, I've never drawn a piece this detailed before. Usually for most of my art pieces, they are really simplistic because I don't believe you really need that much detail in your art. But since this one I had to match the reference images, I went pretty hard on the detail, and I kind of gained a lot of knowledge on how to render proper anatomy of the face and the body and the boobs. Other than that, I decided to keep the words on the poster the same because I want Gen Korean Barbecue to maybe notice me and send me coupons so I can eat Korean barbecue. And then I can treat my mom so I can make this scene a reality, because who honestly needs a girlfriend? Get that out of there. There we go. This is the true dream right here. Wow. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the speed paint and the artwork. In the end, the whole artwork took about 6 hours to make, and I think I will get this up by Christmas. If you want more random art videos like this, or even a tutorial, then leave a comment below. And of course, be sure to make Some more fun.